Welcome to Moonwalker, the channel that reports on everything King of Pop. Check out the Discord server, Moonwalker MJ Hangout. The link is in the description.
Who's back? 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 Perfect, Chris.
With the hype behind Michael Jackson's highly anticipated new album, Bad, it was only natural that it would be followed up by a tour to match Michael Jackson's magnitude and momentum in the music industry. It would also be his first solo tour after having toured with his brothers in 1984 for the Victory album. It was clear that Michael was ready to take off in a number of performances all around the world by himself and his crew. It would first hit Japan. The reason why Japan was first was simple. The tours he was involved in with his brothers would first begin as North American tours, and later expanded to other locations. This time, however, he thought that fans overseas would be the first to taste his incredible show, and later move it to North America. It would also be his first performance in Japan since 1973, when he toured as part of the Jackson 5. After delays, the Bad album was finally released on August 31st, 1987. 2 weeks later, Michael was already in Japan ready for the first leg of his tour, starting on September 12th in Tokyo. Michael arrived on a regular plane commercial style alongside Jimmy Osmond, the youngest sibling of the Osmonds. We used to play soccer in the hotel hallways in London when both our families were there. It was crazy. We were both trapped with 30,000 girls outside. The reason Jimmy arrived with Michael is because he was the businessman behind the whole 87 leg of the tour. After a long conversation a couple of years before the tour, he made an agreement with the local Japanese TV station NTT to pay for the whole thing. The tour was sponsored by Pepsi, and also co-sponsored in Japan by Nippon Television for the Japanese dates. His arrival was met by 600 journalists, photographers, and countless fans, followed by his crew, which included dancers, stylists, assistants, and the band. Michael's equipment arrived on a private Boeing 747 that would later be put in 22 trucks. The stage used 700 lights, 100 speakers, 40 lasers, 3 mirrors, and 2 video screens. The wardrobe consisted of a whopping 70 costumes. The set list itself had elements from the previous Victory tour, where Michael performed songs such as Things I Do For You, Lovely One, and Shake Your Body. These being songs he wouldn't perform in later legs of the tour. The hype was intense for the shows. Jackson Mania was at its peak in Japan. The album was a hot seller, and tickets for all of the concerts were sold out almost immediately, costing around $30 to $45. Once it was sold out, scalpers had pushed the price of a seat beyond $700, which would have been around more than half of $1,000 adjusted by inflation in 2021. Playing for an audience of 120,000 in the Korakuen Stadium, the show began with the epic intro of Wanna Be Startin' Something. Michael emerged from the stage dressed in a black outfit alongside his dancers. He delivered his performance with raw, powerful energy and elegance. Yet, something was off for him. The audience was not very responsive. During In Billie Jean, he did his famous signature move, the moonwalk. There was silence, which threw him off. After the show, he broke down in tears. It was his first show without his brothers, and he thought for a brief moment that people didn't like it. But he was later reassured that it was cultural difference. In Japan, audiences tend to not be loud at concerts, and are silent as a form of respect. Later on, radio promotion for the shows had to let people know to clap after each song. This wasn't just for Michael, but it was also for the band because they had prepared the show with timings for applause. In later shows, the audience complied to this request and other locations were more receptive to the show. The songs. The set list from those Tokyo concerts in full. Wanna Be Startin' Something. Michael appears in front of a blinding bank of lights, wearing black studded leather pants, a huge shiny silver belt, and a black top which changed to silver for the next night, and the majority of the tour with a diagonal stripe of studs across it that say Konnichiwa, meaning hello in Japanese. Things I Do For You. Green lasers shoot everywhere. Michael finishes with a breathtaking spin. Off the Wall. More twirling, whirling, synchronized dancing, and amazing vocals from Michael and the backup singers. Human Nature. Michael sings rather cosmically, stopping the song at one point and clicking his fingers to total silence before restarting. At the end, he does his favorite walk where he looks like he's walking forward, but in fact effortlessly glides backwards. Heartbreak Hotel. He puts on a hat and dances behind a white screen, casting a huge silhouette of him. However, on the first night, this was not the case as the wind was too harsh to put up the screen. A firecracker is thrown which cues the pyrotechnics to explode at the side of the stage. At the end of the song, Michael is surrounded in a spinning laser, then covered in smoke. Michael wipes away his tears, and then it goes straight into She's Out of My Life. The crowd sits down after a standing ovation, and to hysterical screaming, Michael asks,
"Can I come down there?"
and sits on the steps in front of the stage. At the end, he rubs away some tears and shouts, "Now we're going to give you the old-fashioned songs the old-fashioned way," before launching into a medley of the first 3 Jackson 5 hits. I Want You Back, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There, otherwise known as the Jackson 5 medley. Michael dances in formation with the 4 dancers doing the iconic Jackson 5 dance routines. At the end of I'll Be There, Michael starts exclaiming, "Can you feel it?" to get the crowd up on their feet. Michael started stomping, later followed by the tour's drummer, Ricky Lawson, and shouts,
I think I wanna rock!
"Rock with you." Michael's vocal performance for the concert peaks at the end of this track as he shouts, "I wanna rock with you."
Come on, girl. Rock with me till morning.
Lovely One. Another track from the Victory Tour setlist. Working Day and Night. Michael balances back on in an amazing puffed up maroon and black glitter romper suit. Midway through, he lies on his back and wiggles his legs in the air. At the end of the song, he walks up a set of stairs and simply just vanishes into thin air. Beat It. Michael appears from the side of the stage on a cherry picker with the iconic Synclavier gong sound and explosions filling up the stage. Michael hangs off of the cherry picker in a ripped black cape designed by Michael Bush. After a bit, he comes back on the stage and takes off the cape. Meanwhile, the long feathery headdress of one of the guitarists, Jennifer Batten, has lasers flashing through it. Midway, they act out of the video, Michael separating 2 gangs of dancers. Billie Jean. In between songs, Michael slips on another iconic jacket, a hat, and one of his famous gloves on his right hand. Michael does his iconic intro as he throws his hat off the stage, and I think we all know how this song's performance goes. Shake Your Body. Michael and his dancers partake in an almost 15-minute long version of the song released in 1978 on the Jackson's Destiny album. Thriller. Michael and the dancers return. When the lights are dim, fluorescent hues shoot through all 5 of their jackets. 2 of them did in fact not work on the first night. I Just Can't Stop Loving You. Michael puts on a dark zipped-up jacket and does a duet with Sheryl Crow. At the end of the track, originally featuring Saida Garrett, they hug in the center of the stage. Bad. The title song of the album and tour. I'll let the footage speak for itself. Aside from being known as Tomorrowland, Japan was also known for their rainy seasons. The most widely available broadcast and recording of the first leg of the Bad Tour almost never happened. It was at the Yokohama show on September 27th. It had rained badly, and the crew had no coverings for their equipment. The synclaviers, which were a vital part of the show as they handled playback elements and sound effects, had been filled with water. Despite always carrying 3 of them, they always broke easily, and they all broke down. A technician that traveled with the band tried to remedy the situation. Luckily, half of one synclavier was prepared just in time for the show, and they managed to do the show. The broadcast and home video release would be Yokohama, however, it would be secondary to another concert film of the Bad Tour, which was recorded in Wembley, due to the fact that the first leg carried a lot of elements from the Victory Tour, which made the team feel like they should pick the one that has more elements from the album. During Michael's first leg of his tour, he heard about a tragic story that really shook his core. A 5-year-old child named Yoshiaki Hagiwara was kidnapped and murdered. During one of the concerts, Michael paused the show to take a moment to reflect on his death, making the statement, "I am very sorry and deeply saddened to hear about Yoshiaki. If I could, I would like to rush to his parents to express my words of sympathy and pay tribute to Yoshiaki. I would like to dedicate my Japanese tour to Yoshiaki. Yoshiaki, I know you're out there watching us. I hope such a heartbreaking thing never happens again, and I love you." And dedicating the first leg of his tour to him, he also went on to donate $20,000 to his family and put a tribute on the Man in the Mirror single sleeve, which reads, "Dedicated to Yoshiaki Hagiwara. May such a terrible thing never happen again. I will always love you." Attendance figures for the first 14 dates in Japan totaled a record-breaking 450,000. It was one of the biggest music events that ever happened in Japan. Usually 450,000 is a figure of an entire world tour, but Michael Jackson did it with his first shows in Japan. After Japan, Michael would thrill Australia with 5 shows, 1 in Melbourne, 2 in Sydney, and 2 in Brisbane, where in one of the shows, Stevie Wonder made a brief cameo right around the end of the show, ending the first leg of his tour. But the tour itself is far from over. Once 1988 hits the calendar, Michael has 3 continents left to conquer: North America, Europe, and he would later return to Japan once more to perform in the newly opened Tokyo Dome. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe with post notifications on so you never miss an upload.